What's up, everybody? Derek Anderson, the DA, and yeah, you knew this was coming, right? You knew this lady wasn't gonna be able to shut her mouth. Hey, there's some racist stuff going on in here about these two shows. Let me just throw in my worthless 2 cents. Yes, you knew this was coming. Whoopi Goldberg blasts the Rings of Power and House of the Dragon trolls over racist backlash. Yeah, Deadline's reporting on this, and Whoopi Goldberg, she probably has some of the worst opinions in the entire world, and this woman's always getting in trouble for them too. Like, she won't get in any trouble for this, but it doesn't make the opinion any less stupid, okay? But remember, she got in trouble dealing with Turning Point USA. She had to come out on 3 straight segments and retract everything that she was saying because they knew lawsuits are coming. Hey, Whoopi, go back and clean that up, girl. Go back and clean that up. She had to do that 3 times in one show. And then you also remember the nonsense she was saying about Jewish people during the Holocaust. Oh, this isn't about race. It's like, this dumb broad don't understand nothing, man. Why do they keep this woman on the air is beyond me. I guess she gets good ratings, but nevertheless, let's go and see what kind of nonsense and stupidity she's talking about today. Whoopi Goldberg is slamming trolls, criticizing the Rings of Power and House of the Dragon over their casting choices. Some fans on social media have called out the series for becoming woke, showing people of color in the fantasy worlds originally created by J.R.R. Tolkien and George R.R. Martin. And then she says this: I want to start by saying these are not real, okay? The new Lords of the Rings series, The Rings of Power, and the Game of Thrones prequel House of the Dragon are both massive hits, but they don't exist in the real world, okay? There are no dragons, there are no hobbits, you know that. Once again, poor, superficial, illogical opinions that don't even address the real concerns or issues. That's what these cats are always constantly doing. I wish for once they would just address what the actual issues are. Like Sunny Holston actually does that right here, right? She says, chiming in that the trolls, and it's not trolls. No, the argument is that it betrays the source material. Yes, it betrays the source material. That's what it's all about, Why can't you just stick to the source material, okay? If J.R.R. Tolkien wanted a bunch of black people to be in Lord of the Rings, he would have wrote it that way. It's that simple. It's really that simple. And she said, I don't know if there's a Hobbit club. I don't know if they're going to protest. But people, what's wrong with y'all? What's really wrong is you guys keep denying the actual argument. It's like you don't want to hear the argument. You don't really want to hear the argument or deal with the argument. You would just rather label it racism, okay? It betrays the source material. Let me give you an example of how stupid it is just to throw black people into medieval European history. Now, you guys remember this movie, right? Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, right? This was Chinese mythology, right? This is based on Chinese mythology. This was a novel. It was around the same time that Tolkien actually wrote The Lord of the Rings, I want to say, is when the original novel came out, right? And it's taking place during ancient Chinese dynasties, it's taking place back then, right? Now imagine this movie with some black people sprinkled into it. What the hell is this? What the hell is this? This isn't accurate. This isn't what happened back then, okay? But black people sprinkled in and playing prominent roles in this thing. Can you imagine that? Even if it was white people sprinkled in, everybody would have been like, what's going on here? Why were there white people back then and playing these prominent roles in these particular societies? Is that what's going on? Did the writer that wrote this put black people in there? No. It would be considered abhorrent if you just started throwing them in. Everybody would be outraged. Okay, so no, it's about doing it right. Okay, it's about putting in, again, I've said this before, when you adapt material, you are trying to get inside the writer's head, okay? You're not trying to get into your feelings, whatever you think it should be. You're trying to get into the writer's head, and you respect what the writer was trying to accomplish. You try to respect everything that he did, from the races of the characters, all the way down to the costuming, all the way down to the plot. Yeah, you got to make some changes. There's going to be it's called an adaptation for real. You're going to adapt things. You're going to change things, but you're trying to get as close as possible to the original material. You're not just throwing in what you want to throw in because you're trying to do so. Oh, well, we got to redress balances right now. So yeah, all of that other stuff is out the window. We got to do what we got to do. It's just pathetic. And look at here. It says here, she reminds the trolls they're going to lose their minds when they see the new Little Mermaid, which will be portrayed by Halle Bailey. There are mermaids of every ilk, and you know where they can be, because it's the world that we would like to see better. We would like to see as many people represented in fantasy. Then go look. You want to see people represented in fantasy? Here's what you do, okay? It's not very hard either, okay? You say, you know what? Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do some research. Okay, we're gonna go into the cultural mythologies of all of these various races, whoever we're trying to put out there. You know, people represented in fantasy. We're gonna go through African folklore. Okay, we're gonna dig up some stories. We're gonna find the dopest story that we can find, and we're gonna adapt that. That's what you do, okay? You can do the same thing with Latino culture. There's tons and tons of mythologies that have just been completely untapped. But these lazy people, they don't want to do the work, okay? All they want to do is just take this humongous IP, Lord of the Rings, right? And all right, let's just throw black people and Latino people and everything else into that, even though it makes no sense for European history. 0 sense for European mythology, okay? But these same people will be crying a cultural appropriation if like a white person shows up in a dashiki. Oh, that's cultural appropriation. How dare you? But then you're going to put all of these black people and Latino people and Asian people and everything else that you can fit in to a fantasy world where that world did not exist in those particular cultures. It was about medieval European history. Go adapt some black history. I would love to see a nice fantasy series based on realistic characters that came from Africa. I would love to see that. And you can put all the black people in there. You can make it bigger than Lord of the Rings if you got some writing skills. But these cats don't. Talking about the Little Mermaid. And you know what's funny about the Little Mermaid? You know what's funny about the Little Mermaid now that they mention it? You know who's the biggest Little Mermaid fan is China, right? China says here, China is pretty much the world's biggest Little Mermaid fan. And you know what they did is they have this statue of the Little Mermaid in China, right? But notice, this don't look like no Chinese woman, right? This doesn't look like a Chinese woman. They didn't take, okay, well, we're going to put our own statue of Little Mermaid because this is like a duplicate, I want to say, right? And it says here, just as with other replicas of Edvard Ericsson's famous statue, it is not an exact copy, but a close approximation. Yeah, they didn't try to change this into some little Chinese girl, okay? This doesn't look like a little Chinese woman. It looks like a white lady, okay? They said, yep, that's Little Mermaid. Yep. This is and they love this, and they love it. It's a tourist attraction. They have a whole theme park wrapped around this thing. It's and they're not trying to do any of this nonsense. Oh, we got to change this to a little Chinese girl and tell our stories because, you know, we need to represent ourselves over here. No, because it's disrespectful to the thing you claim to have respect for when you decide you're just going to come in and just change it all around, you know. Obviously, the original author didn't do a good job, so we just got to come in here and start messing around and changing this stuff up. All right, now, that's Lord of the Rings. Come on, get out of here with that nonsense, okay? Whoopi Goldberg should be ashamed of herself for even mentioning all of this stuff. She has no business talking about this. She's always sticking her foot in her mouth, and this time is no exception. But anyway, folks, what do you think about this situation? Go ahead, leave me your thoughts and your opinions in the comments below. Thanks for watching. See you next time.